on behalf of the Ad Club Bangalore, a really warm welcome to all of you to today's webinar on experiential marketing, the next pivot. My name is Radhika Ramani and I head Motivator for the South. So for those who are new to these webinars, the Bangalore Ad Club has been organizing a series of webinars in the last few weeks on how advertising, media and communication is going to evolve. This is something that we plan to continue doing. So please do feel free to share your feedback with us. And more importantly, write to us on what you would like to cover in any of our future podcasts. And for all of the non-members, we're inviting you to become members of the Bangalore Ad Club. You can do so by going to our website, www.adclubbangalore.net. I repeat, adclubbangalore.net. And do follow us on your social media pages. Right, so before we start off today, a couple of ground rules. I request all participants to mute your mics as well as your videos to avoid any disturbance. If you have any trouble logging into Zoom, remember we are streaming this live on the Ad Club Bangalore Facebook page. And whatever questions you may have, please do type it into our chat window and we'll cover it more in the latter half of the session. Right, today, so going back to our topic for today. While traditional advertising is often a one-way conversation, experiential marketing is all about bringing your audience along for the ride, engaging them on a very personal level. The idea is to create a really memorable impact on the consumer. But with social distancing being the new norm, can anything be experiential anymore? How's the industry redefining itself, and what are the new skill sets that the industry practitioners need to equip themselves with? So to discuss this today, we have a wonderful panel of experts. We have Roshan. Roshan needs no introduction. He's the founder and has led Encompass, now jumped to Encompass, as MD. He's an actor, a TV and radio host, producer, event manager, director, lyricist, CEO, angel investor, and a public speaking coach. The list goes on. Dalveer, is the head of experiential marketing at Group M APAC. Dalveer set up and built Dialogue Factory, the experiential arm of Group M. He's the pioneer in rural activation and is the man behind the Government of India initiatives, including Made in India. Darshan is the co-founder of Spotty Trip, Play Media Sport and an entertainment company. And Devi, he's been credited for many firsts, including creating the first midnight marathon and India's first community channel. He's a creator, entrepreneur, actor, and an expert across sport marketing. And finally, we have Vipul Mathur, the founder of Brand Aid Events and Fantan Brands. Vipul used to be the head of marketing at Lee and comes with an important perspective of not only being a part of the industry, but also of what brands and clients are looking for. Welcome, Darshan, Vipul, Roshan, and Dalveer. Moderating today's session is Like Ali, the president of the Ad Club, the co-founder and director of Origami Creative and Bloombox Brand Engineers. So I hand it over to Like.
Awesome. Thank you, Radhika. And we're glad in this series of webinars, the next one, we have a lot of participants. We have close to 300 registrants, and I'm sure that there are a lot more people joining in during the course of the webinar. So without dragging it, I think I will straight off get into questions. The audience are eager to know in terms of what is happening in the experiential marketing side. So if there is one segment which is really challenged within the larger advertising industry as such, and I think it would be experiential marketing. The events and experiential industry is supposed to be a set of meticulous planners. And how is this bunch of meticulous planners who plan to the last detail been managing without plan B in the last 2 months? How you all been, guys? All okay? Last 2 months have been, would have been crazy. So let me start off with Abbas. We'll go in alphabetical order and quick opening thoughts.
No, so it's been, I mean, strangely, I think we got into it quite early in terms of preparedness because we in the very first week, before lockdown was declared, we had started using work from home. And that got us past the operational issues. And post all the operational issues, then it was a matter of redefining your stage, redefining experiences. And yep, I think we've done pretty decently.
Good. Awesome. Dalveer, are you muted?
I think Dalveer had logged off. He's coming back in. So I think you'll just move on to the next person. I'm trying to get him in
Okay,
again.
okay. Darshan, your quick thoughts, opening thoughts, Darshan.
Yeah, well, actually, we have been quite open to innovating with technology for a while now. So we have been working in the digital space for a while. So for us, the transition wasn't actually that difficult. We have been hopefully adapting, but we also got the time to kind of reflect and reinvent a lot of parts of our business.
Good. Awesome. So this is a good signs. Vipul, what's your scene?
Yeah, so I think initially it was a little shocking because we saw a lot of cancellations happening and stuff that kind. But then a few days down, it kind of we started doing introspection as where we are, what do we do, what are the skills we have, and a whole lot of things. But then we could do it only because we had some time at hand. On a otherwise day, you're only running behind what was in front of you, right? Then a few days down further, we started to upskill ourselves and we started looking around what options are available in front of us, what do people look at, what clients and brands are looking for. And we started to read about it, we started to discover, we started to play around with technology and upskilled ourselves and our team members to take on that responsibility and challenge as well.
Awesome. So great start. I like the positiveness overall. Dalveer, I think, is dropped off. So I think we will pick his brains as and when he comes back. I don't know whether he's rejoined and cannot see him there.
Dalveer is back. Dalveer is back. Yeah.
Hi, can
Dalveer?
you hear me?
Yes. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Your quick opening thoughts, Dalveer.
So we are in very challenging times, but I'll say it's very positive and there's lots that one can do. This is a new beginning to doing new and very different things. And I think this is the first time when Indian experiential marketing is at par with the World Experiential Marketing Forum in terms of the way everyone is experiencing the same event at the same time. And I guess it's an opportunity for us to create world-class experiential programs.
Good. So there is adversity, but there is a lot of opportunity. I like the overall sense of positiveness which is there among all of you all. So we will go into details and try to understand what's happening. So the next thing what I wanted to find out from you all was see, experiential marketing has always been about addressing the five senses. And with COVID in our life, the fundamental reason for existence for experiential marketing is literally challenged, right? So what are some of these changes which you are probably already seeing or anticipated to be there? How will experiential marketing repivot itself, especially with this new focus on digital and people consuming a lot on their mobile phones and stuff like that? How do you all see this pan out? Abbas?
No, so I think that see this is almost like we are the ones who are coming in a little late. There is anybody who was born after the birth of the internet feels that this is the place they exist in. We were the ones who were staying out, always trying to build this little comparison between digital and pure physical, and some of us would occasionally come up with this, and honestly, I think I've tried to bridge that for the longest time, but I've always found that one doesn't understand the other, and I have had the funniest experiences over these years. But suddenly we are all forced to play on one screen, and that's the screen we're on right now, and the screen could change in its size, It could become a tablet, a laptop, a mobile phone, but that's becoming the new stage. And if that is the stage where experiences need to be staged, then you need to understand what to do there. And as experiential marketers, we need to embrace this quickly. I said that many people got stuck between I mean, the first problem, of course, was that this is like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, where suddenly somebody comes and says, "Hey, the Earth is no more. You've got to hitchhike across the universe, and the only thing you have is a book which says don't panic." But you look at that, and if you frankly pause, and I keep saying this, that don't just jump in. The first thing to do was to pause, look around you, understand what is this. So as I say, I mean, getting onto Zoom was like almost entering a professional auditorium as compared to standing on the street corner. Now you could do everything from manipulate questions, polls, participants. So you will find a new language and new tools. Then I always say leave the creator to play. And once creators come in and start playing, you will see. I mean, this is how television became what it was. This is how radio became what it was. This is how MTV happened. This is how Netflix happened. Somebody came in and questioned the status quo. Um, and you put minds like the ones that are here, like Vipul and Dalveer, Darshan, everyone, Radhika, you put all these minds and say, now play. And they will take a little bit of time, but then they will quickly adapt and then come out with magic.
Awesome. So challenge the status quo, take a step back or pause, and then rethink. Darshan, what's your viewpoint? What have you been up to, and what's the changes, what you're seeing?
See, actually, I agree with Abbas because if you've looked at the sports industry, they've already been it's a very second screen prone industry. Even if you look at entertainment, it's all about being Instagram ready. It's about being social media heavy. People do not watch a match without interacting with their friends. I think us marketers have been kind of wary of adapting to it, and now we have no choice but to adapt to it. The second screen always existed, and now the second screen has become the primary screen, and the physical aspect is taken a back seat, but I think it's the way forward.
Awesome. Dalveer, what have you been seeing in terms of changes around?
I think what is changing is home is going to become the epicenter of everything. So it's not that everything in experiential is going to become digital. You still will be able to do many things which are physical, and the way to look at it is not purely digital or virtual, but what is the best way to connect with the need of the consumer. And as I said, it's not going to be malls, it's not going to be outdoors, but home now becomes the epicenter. Therefore, how do I transport my experiences to these consumers who are more going to spend more time at home? Yeah, whether it's virtual, digital, physical, by sending things, by creating things, by making them do things, and so on. So not everything in experiential is going to be virtual and digital.
Okay. Vipul, your experiences?
Yeah, so while I agree with everyone on the panel, but I come from a physical space. I come from the apparel background where touch and feel is the most important thing. While we have started to consume things or order things online, but it's still a challenge, to differentiate between one product to the other. It's only the looks on which people buy, and then there is a dissonance which comes in. So I personally feel that while we are moving towards digital and we have started to use a lot of digital experiences, but the immersive piece, which kind of we see in the materialistic world, is a missing piece. While a lot of AR, VR, mixed realities have been tried out, but we need somebody to orchestrate well across industries and create that 360-degree experience and create that sense of urgency for them, for consumers to kind of buy into a product. So I think we are all learning. It's a new world. I'm sure as event managers, we will also become event technologists and create some immersive experiences in a digital space as well.
Roshan, when we were chatting up earlier with you, I found whatever you're doing, you've already started off doing some great work during these COVID times. And how are you, can you explain it to everybody in terms of how you're planning to bridge this entire thing between stars, celebs, new ways of reaching out to customers? Can you tell us in terms of what you've been up to?
Thanks, Lake. So essentially, as I said that the first thing which one actually did was to start doing a dipstick with all the people who constitute the players in our business. So it's obviously other agencies, but then it's a lot of talent that you work with, and approximately 30% of cost in most events is talent. And then there's a large component of set, light, sound, etc., and technicals which is gone. But that 30% talent is still a large number. The three things that we didn't see change was that wherever we were creating content, we continued to create content. Wherever we were doing creative consultancy, it continued. Wherever there was planning, shopper marketing, all that, planograms, all that work somewhere continued. It just started getting a little evolved. What we focused on was to reach out to artists because, I somewhere sit in the middle of that, having been a performing artist myself. And so when you ask them, there were two things. One was, there was a fear of technology. So there's a set of people who are just scared of technology. They don't know how to interface with this. A classical vocalist wants to sing. They don't want to operate a Zoom and check a mic and do whatever. That's not what they're taught to do. So
Correct, yeah.
those people you had to say, come, we'll collaborate. So with a whole bunch of people, we started doing deep research into how do we make them sound better, look better, perform better, interact better. Then there is a set of artists who's in between who is possibly saying, should I look for revenue or should I look for relevance? I mean, it's always people were searching for different things. So we would identify that and work with them. So say, for example, we wanted to do an activity which would be to get people. I have a bunch of theater friends who said, oh my God, Prithvi is short, Rang Shankara is short, everything is short, where will we perform? And again, the provocation was, what about this? And they were like, but this is not a stage. And I said, no, this is the curtain. Imagine that this is the edge of the curtain. Now, where do you perform? If I leave my chair and move 5 feet back, then I've suddenly created depth of field and I can perform in this space. Now, people started buying that a little, but then we made a play that is contextual. We wrote a script that was contextual, and suddenly we had some of India's best talent. I mean, we have everyone from Shreya Palgaonkar, Radhika Madan, all of these people in our play, all coming to say, I'm here to learn and I'm here to experiment. And after doing a show, we kept doing feedback loops with our audience, asking them what they missed. There were two things they missed, and one we cannot recreate, as what Dalveer said, what Vipul has said also, and is that we cannot recreate that presence of everyone together because human touch, human feel, no. But can I create interactivity? And therefore, interactivity became a goal we started going with. We started focusing on ways to do this, with the chat, with polls, as I keep saying, multiple other formats. I mean, bringing in video, getting people to interact with each other, giving them breakout rooms, everything. So we put our entire arsenal, and over a period of time, we realized that there are ways and means of making this happen. And we've now moved from the experiment stage to the revenue stage, where many brands now see the minute there is eyeballs, a brand will follow. If there is a consumer, brand will come. Now we've got consumers. Now we get about 10 to 12,000 people engaging with us on an Instagram handle every night. Now that is a relevant audience. Now a brand will say, what can I do there? So, so that's definitely one of the big advantages. And artists, again, I keep saying this, recruit a bunch of artists in your creative team who can come together and just ask the why nots. Because we get very stuck with this only happens this way. An artist doesn't think that way, and I find that extremely attractive to just come up with brand new ideas.
Yeah. Good. Dalveer, you are an expert in rural marketing, and you've done a lot of work in the rural side, right? And especially in rural, ground level activations are a big part of engaging with rural customers. So how has been your experience there? Because maybe you're sitting in your urban home and trying to connect with the rural consumer. What's the scene there?
So yeah, it's been the last 2.5 months have been really tough for the so-called the rural audiences. Both in terms of people who are staying in rural markets, as well as people who are now moving as migrants from large cities and going back home. The way we've looked at the rural part of so-called experiential marketing, and the next transformation is doing pin code marketing, and we got about 21,000 pin codes across the country, and we use a simple formula of 3V, which is all about people who have smartphones. How can I reach them through video? Basic phone, how can I use them through voice? And over and above all this, you put the vernacular piece to it, because it's not one language as Hindi which goes across. There are 14 languages, and if you can then make things in dialect. So I think that's something that we are experimenting, and we've done a couple of pilots. It's helping clients to reach out to these audiences. That's one part of it. The second thing which we've done, wherever we had collected data during our previous campaigns visiting rural audiences, we are now deploying that. So like today, we got data of 5 lakh mothers across UP who have kids in the age group of 0 to 2 years. And this was collected over the last 6 months doing a regular campaign. Similarly, all other data which one had collected either around farmers or around school teachers doing a school contact programs and school headmasters, that's being now deployed as different pilots, So if one has proprietary data, you can use it then to deploy it. Otherwise, use what is now called the new location marketing through pin code marketing.
Nice, very interesting. A lot of dynamics changing there, or possibly used to exist, but more focused on more focus is going on to pin code as such.
Yeah. Till you have social distances, you will have to continue to do a bit of what you can do from distance, and once that goes away, you will then have to do a mix of both physical and digital.
Okay. Data is going to be play a very critical role, is what I'm guessing, right?
I think yes, with the screens coming in, if you can mine, because we are a huge country with 1.3 billion population, 850 million people who are here, on mobile, 500 million who are currently using internet. So the more I know about them, it will help me in mining, and using it as one of the tools to mine audiences and not do carpet bombing. These days it was all about carpet bombing, but here it helps you to mine better.
Awesome. Darshan, your forte is sports marketing, and I'm a great fan of football. And while I'm happy that Bundesliga has restarted and setting the tone for the others, but the big difference is there are no fans in the stadium, right? And it's going to be very odd. I'm saying whether it's a player or the fans, it's going to be a struggle for everybody. So what's the case with sporting events in the future?
Yeah, actually, we all are looking at the Germans, and they've taken the lead. They've done some very interesting things. For instance, there's a club in the fourth tier called Leipzig. They were the first to create a virtual tournament. They created a game with an imaginary team, saying the invisible opponents, and they sold 150,000 tickets.
Wow.
And they're claiming it to be the world record for the highest attended football game. Okay. Another club, again, Borussia, they have sold cutouts of their fans. So they ran a campaign saying, stay safe at home, but be on the stand. So they put cutouts, which you could go on the app, they click your picture, and they put your picture up in the stand. They sold about 15,000 tickets. So they're doing innovative stuff. Whereas in Asia and Taiwan, already they started allowing fans in the baseball league. They've allowed 1,000 fans to enter. And by, I think, next week, they're going to increase it to 10,000. So I think it's slowly crawling back to normalcy. And it's still a long way before we see the good old crowds and cheering and all of that. But there's a lot of innovations that are coming up. Recently, a Japanese company launched an app where you could cheer and boo, and they would put it out in the stadiums through big speakers. So they're trying to bridge that gap. It's interesting times. Let's see where it goes. The IPL also looks like it's going to come back now. UAE, Sri Lanka, Emirates, a lot of cricket boards are offering to host them in the coming months. So it's going to be interesting times.
Nice. Maybe you should try taking a lead and let's try breaking the next record. Because if Bundesliga guys we have a billion here, so it's very easy for us to break the record.
Yes, I think we should. We should host a match between the RCB and the invisible team.
Correct. Vipul, you've been on the client side. You touched upon the aspects, saying that how the physical touch and feel is a very important part. But what do clients make out of this at this point of time? Is there an opportunity, a better ROI in this new world? Like earlier, access to events and celebrities would normally cost crores, right? Suddenly, for the clients, you don't need to spend that much. It's become less. It's bad for the experiential industry as such, but for the clients, it's a great thing, right? Because I'm getting the access to the same guy. I don't need to spend that much. So, what's your take?
Yeah, so it's true that the current solutions are costing way lesser than what it used to, and the ROIs have become better. The measurability of the event is kind of right in front of us. The analytics are right there, and most platforms are built on an analytics platform. But to me, I think immersive experience and ROI are still two ends of the same thread. And we need to find a midway. And as Dalveer was saying, that we need to use these tools into a physical experience, and then we'll see the magic and the big magic coming out. I think that piece is something which we should all work towards to enhance the experience using the tools and technology and all these learnings which we'll have in the next few months to kind of bring out that or kind of reduce the gap between the two.
Awesome. So, see, this event business, I'm saying the earlier, the higher the eyeballs as a televised event it would get, we were all advertising communication, all were designed to get large crowds, right? And most of the times, the currency to evaluate was the number of footfalls for the event or the turnout and stuff level. Now, with this entire change, is that going to change? What's the new currency now? Is the footfalls is going to be the currency, or do you think it is going to change into something else? Because engagement, multiple parameters are going to kick in, right? Roshan?
So you're right, because in fact a couple of questions that people are asking is about ROI, and they're talking about the fact of saying the consumer is not going to be there. I've been started getting a lot of posts on the event management group of 50 people weddings. They look kind of dystopic because the bride and groom are wearing masks and standing. There's nothing celebratory about them. But the fact is that a whole bunch of my friends in the wedding industry, in the social industry said, listen, there are auspicious dates and there are dates by which parents don't want to pass, so they will accommodate. The problem is we have always built our agencies on cost plus models. So we've had 200 people because we know we'll do 100 crores of billing. Now suddenly that billing is going to come crashing down. So I think the elephant in the room that people are not addressing, which is critical to do so that we don't just paint really rosy pictures, is that there is a lot of change that will need to happen. We are suddenly all realizing that our manpower was very execution oriented. You would have creative teams, then you have maybe some accounts and servicing people, but then there's a large part of our teams that are execution focused. So there is going to be a seismic change in what you do. I can tell you that there are already tons and tons of places. And I'm sorry I'm addressing because there are a couple of questions, that's why I was trying to answer them. But the idea is that ROI in terms of people, you must understand that when people are saying, oh, people used to physically turn up, the person is on a device, the experience is happening on a device, you are actually touching the person, you can't see him. For the longest time, you were just used to seeing them. Why is it that nowadays, even today, when all the OTTs say this is such a great success, they don't release any numbers? We still don't know. But if you can add measurement, if you can add CTAs, and I can tell you that, we did a digital festival in March. We just turned and made an assumption that we would reach a certain number of people. And I said, listen, let's commit to that because that's what they require. But when you commit views, engagement, reach, people clicking, it can be measured. You will just need to change the currency of measurement. Digital knew it. We in physical were just happy seeing lots of people came. But lots is what? When people come to Auto Expo, earlier I'm telling you, when it used to happen at Pragati Maidan, you didn't even know the number of ticket sales, which is why they moved to a different venue which had turnstiles to just mark the number of people. So this is the change. Some of these changes will stay. When this goes back to normal, we'll all go back to partying with thousands of people again. But till it doesn't, there are some of these things that we need to embrace.
Vipul, you seem to be liking most of the things what Roshan was saying. You want to? What's your take?
I think what Roshan said is very, very relevant. But to me, I think till such time it goes back to partying with 1,000 people, we need to look at the span of attention of users and how do we keep them engaged throughout a session or whatever. And hence the surprises have to be built in any activity we do. It should not look like a monotonous activity. So I think span of attention is what is the new currency to me.
Okay. Darshan?
Yeah, actually, I'd like to add to what Abbas was mentioning, because in the sports industry, we've always had these gods, right, who charge you a couple of crores for a half an hour appearance and stuff like that. With the new normal, there is no money. The clients are not willing to spend.
Are they even getting half of that money now?
Not really. So I'll tell you an experience I had a couple of weeks ago. There was an inquiry from a corporate which wanted a cricketer or a fitness-oriented Bollywood celebrity to come and speak for half an hour with their team and motivate them virtually through Zoom. And the demands that were made by the Indian stars, none of the clients were willing to pay. Finally, we ended up having to go get an international player for 1/10 the amount that the Indian players quoted and executed. So the good thing about the lockdown is that suddenly the world is much smaller because it's virtual, right? So if an Indian cricketer wants 2 crore rupees, there is somebody who's willing to do it for 25,000 rupees, who's equally big and talented. I have colleagues in the industry who are in the entertainment businesses, from having small studios where they were doing small classes, and now they have students signing up from Malaysia, Singapore. They have students all over the world. Most of them tell me they're never going to go back to holding physical classes because they're able to reach out to much larger audiences without having to get out of home. I actually want to touch upon a question that Palish Thakur had put up, saying, is India ready to adapt to similar changes like we're seeing abroad? Actually, no, because we still kind of stuck. We are like those old internet companies which refuse to move into optic fiber just because we had invested too much money on copper already, right? So we are resistant to change, which is why I can see that the Indian players are still asking for 30 lakh rupees for a half an hour chat on Zoom, whereas there is some international players who are willing to do it for 30,000 rupees, right? But that said, there are innovative stuff. I don't know if you all have seen the Double Trouble show by Jeremiah Rodriguez and Smriti Mandhana, which is now kind of catching on. I thought that was very innovative and very interesting take for Indian cricketers, that to women cricketers to come out in this lockdown and build a show totally through Zoom. And so there are some adaptation, and India is gearing up, but we still have to look at what the West is doing and hopefully learn quickly.
Dalveer?
Yeah, I think I agree with everyone on the panel. And before COVID, whatever were the measurements, during COVID, we are going to have new measurements, because now we are more open. So our clients open to trying different things, which will lead to new measurement metrics, both in terms of engagement, reach, word of mouth, and made a different way for this industry post-COVID. And I think we were all shy from this measurement piece because there was no industry measurement body for us. And probably now during COVID will help us because we are using things which can be measured. Yeah, and maybe we'll have a better measurement post-COVID.
You know, the beauty about sitting with a bunch of experiential marketers is they preempt, they're very proactive. So they start looking at the questions and answering it already. So it makes the moderator's job a little more easier. They're good. See, there are these two large chunks when you look at the overall events industry, right? Saying that, okay, there is this organized lot and this unorganized lot. The single person companies, and maybe we could even call them fly by night operators. The organized lot would obviously call them fly by night operators, but no demeaning anything there. But do you think a positive is coming out of this dreadful period, that industry will become more organized? What are the positives which you see coming out of this particular period?
So see, again, the one thing is that the unorganized sector, again, and I said this in the very first week to a whole bunch of people there, because I think the Event and Experiential Marketing Association did try to bring people together, and the first thing they did was that they said, okay, we need to be able to tell the government what are we going through, because it's an important thing. And we just realized that we really don't have much of a lobbying power or whatever, etc., with the powers that be, because assumptions have already been made about the industry at some level. That's one problem. The second thing is that the people who possibly were briefcase boutiques or smaller boutique, very very small agencies, many of them have, and again, as I said, we end up funding people's businesses from the days of the 90s when we got 50% advances or whatever. We now end up funding the client's business and hoping to be paid in a certain amount of time that our interest cost is low. But now that you suddenly realize that it's a business that is run on those accounts, you really are feeling the pressure. And I have seen many people buckle under that pressure. My view to them was one thing, saying this is a great time to reskill. For example, I still feel that there will be, and this is what Vipul said brilliantly, that it'll be event technologists. So there will be a whole new scope of event technologists. There will be people who will work on how to increase this attention span. There will be people who will build in loops of feedback within their programs. And all of these will value someone more. So reskill yourself now, because without that, there are many people who said in 2 months it will be okay. And I mean, it's a pipe dream, because it won't. So yes, people need to organize themselves. I think it's a great time for people to collaborate and reach out and say if you have a problem. That's a big thing also, right? Ego plays such a big role. Whenever I meet up with event people, everyone's doing well. And this is the one time the people are actually turning and saying, no, I am going through some trouble. There are issues, and people are doing that in forums. So, for example, to just give you one example, and this was led beautifully by some people, within the event fraternity, who said, is there a rationalized cost of doing a digital event? Now, right now there isn't. So look at the days when we started doing events and everybody used to come in with 17.65% commission. Who decided 17.65? Advertising used to charge it, so events started charging it. Maybe we needed to charge 25. Maybe we needed to charge 10. Who knows? But that's what happened. Now, right now there is no standard. So it is the time to set a standard between the organized and disorganized. Otherwise, there'll be someone doing the same job for 100 and someone saying I'll do it for one. And that's when the death happens, because procurement will say, welcome to the club. And that's the end of life.
Yeah. Darshan?
Yeah, actually, I think Roshan's got a very valid point, and I'm noticing a lot of people actually expecting digital events to be free. I've started noticing a lot of these celebrities, all their arrangements and their contracts are getting renegotiated to digital only. We recently were talking to a few corporates who wanted yoga teachers and celebrity yoga teachers, but they all expected that to be free. They're like, kya hai, ek phone call at types, So the bigger challenge in this industry is how do you get people to pay for a digital experience? They somehow think digital experiences are to be free. You tried. I'm sure all of you have webinar fatigue by now, and you try and do a next Bangalore Ad Club event and charge ₹1. You will see how many will actually register.
Absolutely. So you actually, so, and to add to that entire drama, you have people like Ad Club Bangalore who keep doing free webinars, which adding to the misery of this entire thing.
No, this is another thing. I mean, we did a fundraise for artists that happened about 10 days ago, and many of my friends who are in the entertainment business turned and said charity fatigue is also setting in. So there are all kinds of fatigue. There's Zoom fatigue, there's charity fatigue, there's attention issues. All of these are happening. But again, I'll tell you, those who are able to turn and say right now that a digital experience and a digital live experience are two different things, prove the difference, create value additions in the live experience with validation.
Yeah.
A Zoom operator who can run your Zoom professionally at 500 rupees an hour, doing it for 10 hours a day is 5,000 rupees. If he does it 20 days a month, it's 1 lakh. And you will get paid that money. You just have to prove it in the first one, saying, I'll do this one for free, but after this, everything I'll charge for. That's fine. I mean, it's like going and giving an audition. We in the arts are used to doing it. We go and give 100 free auditions in the hope that you land the one Amitabh Bachchan role. But it's okay. I mean, this is the time to go out and, as I said, either learn or audition, go out and do it.
Yeah. So, Vipul, when you look at this entire thing, my question was again saying that, okay, so will the single person entity start mushrooming more in this entire thing? Because that is going to be where it is headed, right? Because if I am sitting in my house, I can actually do this entire Zoom setup, right? I can coordinate everything and I can just put it together. I might do the first one free or 10 things free, which is going to hurt the organized segment even more.
So I think we are all learning and we are all restarting. So the field, the canvas is completely clean and empty. I personally think that people who have fresh ideas and can produce cost-effective solutions at a speed of lightning will survive and will make it to the top, right? Because in this world, the speed matters, the fresh ideas matter, and that is what will get you the experience of the world, and make it more interesting for a consumer to come back to. So I completely agree that with Roshan that learn quickly, show it to the world, do a quick pilot, and then say, okay, I'm charging you because I'm the best. I'm giving you the experience. So I think fresh ideas and quick speed is something which will take people forward. Does not matter how big or small the person was.
The other one thing that I will jump in with is this, that, we have always again been a fee-based, we did a job for X and we charge 10% over it. A couple of years ago, and with a lot of opposition from many people, we started charging creative fees. With a whole set of clients, it brought transparency. You said, okay, I'm very happy to pay you a certain management fee and I'm happy to pay you a creative fee because your creatives are of a superior level. Now we built that with a bunch of clients. The problem is this, that 10%, somebody told me the event they did for 1 crore, they will now do if they spend everything for 10 lakhs max, which is largely artist cost, maybe some creative cost, maybe some operational, whatever. Now imagine that 10% of 1 crore is very different from 10% of this. So this whole, we've made ourselves, we've been our own worst enemies, I think, in many cases, and we need to change these things. If across the board people start standardizing some things, I mean, even if time-based costs, and people have fought it all the time. So really the need for everyone to come together to find some solutions which are unified.
Very true. Agreed.
Dalveer, are you seeing any changes on this particular front? What's your thought process on this?
I think these
collaborations will work more.
I think
individuals, gig economy is going to kick in more.
I think if you ask me, these are very tough times. Right? This whole industry is very implementation-led industry. Yeah. So if you look at our investments across companies is more into getting that work done. Either I have people within my organization or outsource it. And that's where you have these freelancers, or that's where you have these companies with 4 people, 10 people, 15 people. And that's how the industry has been. And today, if you look at what has happened in the last three months, it's been tough, very tough for everyone. So I think, yes, upskilling for everyone, including whether you are large, small, or medium, everyone has to upskill. Everyone has to be more on ideas, because that's what you will get paid for. You will not get paid for implementation. Yeah. The suitcase guy can do that implementation. Today, the platforms are available and open to everyone.
Yeah.
Anyone can approach Zoom and get it done. Yeah. What you'll get paid is for your creativity. And that's going to be the new matrix, or that's going to be the new way to price yourself, which has never been done in the industry. Yes, as Roshan said, a few large companies have done, and you can really see that in their product. You see high creative product there. Otherwise, it's an event, and I call this industry by 3 things. Either it's a van and a man, which is the rural part, or it's a mall and a stall, which is getting a place in a mall and putting a booth there, or the big ones that we call, which is a star and a setup. That's what this industry is, between these 6 words. And if we don't get creativity there, if we don't get measurement there, if we don't get not technology as technology, which all of us understand, but cutting edge technology to enhance that experience, make that experience memorable. That's what clients will pay for. Clients will not pay for implementation. There they can go to anyone who will. Now, if you're going to use more of technology platforms, then anybody can implement it. Then you don't really need very high skilled people there. So creativity will lead to new form of charging and charging a premium, and that's how you will stand out. Next 3 months are very crucial for everyone in the industry, whether you're big, small, or medium size. How do we sustain? Because we have salaries to be paid. Yeah. If we don't do small pilots, if we don't get proofs of new concepts, it's going to be very difficult for all of us, whether we are a large company or a small company or a suitcase salesman or a freelancer.
Agree with you.
I think Like has dropped off, but let me just kind of, I had one question on this. What about millions of artists, right? You have your stand-up comedians, you have your musicians, you have dancers. What reports are you getting from these people who work really closely with this industry, and how are they surviving?
So so the first thing is that there is a dichotomy and there is a divide. So Radhika, what happens is that I was talking to Sanjoy Roy, who's the head of teamwork and the current president of EMA, and he said that there is a divide of who has an internet and who has a device. A folk singer does not even have that. So you'll have to first make a divide of saying people who just don't have device, don't have internet, and that is again now going to be a fundamental currency. You may not believe, but when we were doing the play, we had to drop an actor because her internet speed wasn't good.
Right.
Can you imagine that in your audition, you will now say that I am available at 16.7, megabytes? What do you do? But this is the reality of what we're doing at one level.
Yeah.
Now, the younger artists, don't worry about them. They are so smart. They are so good. They know how to use this technology and run circles around all of us. It is some other people who very often just get stuck, as I said, in this whole thing of what do I do? Do I really need to be out there? Because social platforms were used for relevance, live shows were used for revenue. Now you have to do revenue and relevance both on the same platform. How do you do it?
Absolutely.
Right? You as a A-level performing artist are available in HD with 50 dancers, a whole setup, 20 location changes in Dolby Surround on a pre-recorded platform. So therefore, the smart artist has figured the difference between their live and their recorded. So between produced and live, there is a huge distinction. The smart artist has figured what to do in life. For example, Amit Tandon, the comedian, told me that earlier, if I was charging 1,000 rupees for a ticket, they were paying 200 rupees for the joke. They were paying about 500 for the venue, the place, the location, and perhaps they were paying 300 rupees for the interaction I did with the person.
Right.
So he says the 500 I have to drop, which is why I've dropped my price from 1,000 to 500.
Right.
But the 300 extra, apart from the joke, I will now do by saying, if you're a super fan, I will promote you to being a panelist. If you want a shout out, pay me 200 rupees more. The smart artist will leverage the platform and its understanding. There's a whole set of people who are stuck in between saying, I don't know what to do. So yes, there is a huge gap. The money, I mean, 2-3 Shubha Mudgalji has set up a beautiful fund for folk artists and rural artists, which has raised a lot of money. 17 collectives came together and started something called Staying Alive, which even I am a part of, which is trying to do things for live performing artists. There are at least 5 such charities, and you can pay to many things apart from government funds as well. So I would actually recommend people, if you have any more charity left, pay it here because these people do need it.
So Dalveer, what are you seeing? Is there anything that has been set up for these artists?
No, I don't think I've heard of anything which has been set up, and it's very similar to what Roshan summed up on this question. I don't really have anything else to add to that. I would just urge everyone from experiential marketing to really help each other for next 6 months and see how do we get this industry going.
Right.
We are all up against a big challenge, and it's not about physical thing not happening. Fine, it will not. But we need to come out with new ideas for clients to start spending on this. Because the way marketers are going to spend, this probably would be 3rd or 4th in their priority list when they do a marketing mix. Unless there are categories which just need pure experiential. So therefore, this is the time to come together as one family, help each other, not only help each other, but get great ideas and come out with great programs. And as I said, globally, we are at par today.
Right.
So it is also a time to win awards and make our clients and brands famous.
Okay, awesome. I'm back in between jumping in. So this was not to basically showcase the perils of experiential marketing interlinked with technology, Typically, power cuts are part of our life, and suddenly you get disconnected. But it becomes a showcase saying that this is the difference between real experiential marketing and what are the steps we should be taking to not get disconnected in between an experience.
But you would not be a part of Roshan's panel then.
No, I wanted to just tell you all, saying that the other day I saw a brilliant case study which was done by Glade, which is into perfumes in your air purifiers and perfumes for your house. And what they used, I mean, and all the marketers in the room possibly would know of it, but when Amazon sends you packages, they often come with these air-filled, pouches so that things don't break. Now they put perfumed air there and said, why don't you just break this and smell the perfume? And on top of that, there was a QR code which you clicked and immediately you could buy and it would be delivered home. Again, I'm answering this because a whole bunch of people are saying, but what about on-ground activation? Dalveer has said it so beautifully. The home is now the place of activation. That's the mall. That's the stall. That's the seat. That's everything.
Yeah.
Just use your mind. I mean, when I saw that idea, I was blown away. What Darshan just said about these pictures of fans, I saw that case study and I was like, look at this. Just the fact that you can put a person's picture, and I mean, as a fan, would I want that in Wankhede in the Sachin Tendulkar stand? Yes, I would.
Absolutely.
So give it to me. Just give it to me and create it, and people will definitely buy. There will be dips in the cycle because people will suddenly go into this, save for a rainy day. We are Indians, we always do. We save for a rainy year. It's okay. I think, but again, Dalveer's point, let's all collaborate. It's very important. I will share that case study link for you just now. Yeah.
Yeah, there are lots of global examples. If you see, like the other day I saw something by Thai Air making people stay at home. So they're saying, fine, you can't fly, I can't give you flying points. log in, stay at home, and I can see your movement. And if you're at home, I give you flying points for number of hours you've stayed at home. Now, such a simple thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, such a simple thing. Music concerts. Who says music concerts are not happening? Korea did a music concert in a drive-in theater. So cars come in, there's a music concert there. Everybody's in their cars. You tune in with the frequency of your music system inside the car, and you have a music concert.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I think this is time for creativity. This is time for innovation. This is time to be together, co-create with our clients and with our partners to do bigger things.
Yeah.
Awesome. What's the scene on the talent front overall? Because you have onboarded a certain talent for a certain requirement, right? Because these are meticulous planners at one end who are very good at what they're doing. Now, suddenly, their existence is challenged again because they are asked to do something else which they're not even used to doing, right? And also, from a future perspective, I saw some recent reports in terms of what the event industry overall is going through in terms of the number of events which are getting cancelled and stuff like that. So wouldn't this put off the appeal towards this particular industry itself at one level? So what's your individual take on the appeal, the challenges, what people are facing, the young talent who is already there, or
So there was a very so in the first 2 months the amount of cancellations were about 3,000 crores in the organized event space. That's the number that we got. Over a period of time, the situation got even more grim, and Sanjoy again in an EMA report actually said that the overall number of people impacted, if I remember correctly, he said that approximately $1 trillion worth of business. Because see, the sad part is people don't understand, but when a Jaipur Lit Fest happens, along with that there are hotel bookings and flight bookings and people coming in, and there's food experiences and so many other things. Similarly with sports, I mean,
Yeah.
when you go and see a movie, look at the ancillary cost beyond the movie, or if you go to a mall. So there are so many uh, sub-related categories that it is almost at that level that you can look at the fact that that is going to be the impact. Yes, they say that the event industry is between 12,000 to 15,000 crores, but frankly, it is a lot more. There is so much which just doesn't get accounted for because the agencies are very small, they don't come under a singular body. And this is the time for that to happen, because if we can bring them all together, we can prove to the government that this is a highly I mean, this employs, if I remember the number correctly, there was a number of 40 lakh people was what was proposed. I think 4 million or whatever was the number. I may have it wrong, so I'm just, please take it on advice. That's the kind of numbers. So people need to look at us as a big employer, a big people, supporter of just people in this country, and it trickles down. It starts from the star, but a star is an entourage of 10 people. Then there's the satellite sound. Then there is the promoter. I mean, Dalveer can tell you there are hundreds when they do the Kumbh and activations there. Look at the size of people and number of people you require and that you employ. And people just don't seem, it's often looked on as, oh, this is, we are equally essential. I mean, I keep saying that science will save humans, but art will save humanity. Experiences will save that part of your life, and you must realize that, because even now you're turning your favorite song, your favorite story, your favorite movie, all of those things. You have the nostalgia of, oh, when can I go back to Winter Wonderland? When can I go back to Spoken Fest? When can I go back to Sunburn, or so many other things?
Yeah.
So we are people, we are humans who live deeply in social experiences, and that can't change. But who's looking out for the industry overall is something that, as a question, really worries me.
True.
how are you all coping overall, Vipul and Darshan? How are you all coping overall with the retention of talent? Again, the skills required of the talent being something which is very different from what they were used to. How are you all coping with those pressures?
Well, the problem is there. I won't deny that there is a problem that not all of the talent you have can upskill quickly and uh, go back to being useful. I'm sorry, I'm having little net issues. That's why I've shut the video. Um, but the good part is the young people are anyway digitally more savvy than most of us. Bulk of us on the panel, apart from Roshan, are pretty much dinosaurs, right? So we have to learn every other day. But the young ones, they come with being born into a digital world, so they know how to adapt quickly and how to use this technology very well. So a lot of young talent that are in the system and also wanting to come into the system actually will come in with new ideas, new ways of doing things. Uh, but for most of the other talent, yes, there is a problem, and that is a big problem, and that is something that we all collectively need to figure out what we can do. Because I think the future is about content. It's going to be content first, and then more about collaborations. So the gig economy is here to stay, and we will have a lot more collaborations going forward. People will work together, and that's the only way forward.
So I think the patriarchal way of doing business is over, where one man said that do this and things would happen and everyone will fall in line. I think going forward, the ideas will come from the ground, from anybody in the organization or around us. It will all depend on who picks that thread up and runs with it and build creativity around it, right? So I think there are smart people in this world, and they have learned it, they are learning it, and they are constant learner. So I think those are the guys who will outshine people who will sit behind saying that jab bola jayega tab karenge. That those people will have a little bit of struggle, but I think the world will learn how to live, and I'm sure we all are human beings who will pick people up and say, okay, run with me. So I think that is how the future is going to be.
Like you're on mute.
Dalveer, you have a point of view on that? Sorry.
Yeah, I think we are in a business of storytelling, creativity. You don't need rocket science. You don't need surgeons. You don't, so it's most of our talent is what we see, and how well do we know consumers, and how do we get a consumer insight and build that into an idea. Yeah. So and as everybody on the panel said, there's so many ideas happening across. Can I learn and build something from that? Yeah. Yes, upskilling will be needed across the industry, and as somebody pointed out, these are all young people, so they understand this space well. So much easier, I would say, much easier, and people can learn from others and build on that. That's how I would look at it. So it's all about first and fast. You need to be first there and fast. Today it's all about getting those new ideas into some sort of a small pilot. You don't need a huge plan. Neither do our clients have the patience and money to invest today. So a client will invest on something which is first saying, okay, I'm the first one to do it, and how fast can you mount it? The second thing which clients are today looking for is what is efficient and what is effective. So is this, and that's how they compare it with before COVID. Is it really effective? Yesterday I was doing this, now doing this the new way. Is it really effective, and is it really efficient in terms of ROI that I get? And will it make it win?
Yeah.
So to me, I use this acronym for my team. I say, let's do FEW, FEW. F is for first and fast, E is for effective and efficient, and W is for winning, helping our clients win there, helping us win there.
Okay.
That's how I look at the whole bit coming together.
Okay. Awesome. So I think we've crossed our allotted time, and I would before I would end the session, I would want you all to firstly, to the entire audience who's here, thank you so much. I would like to let you all know that we have a great event lined up for next week, which is on AR, VR, and immersive experiences that way. So it's going to be on the other side. So look forward to seeing all of you in the next webinar, which is planned for next week. So do sign up and be part of that. Before I hand it over to Naveen, I want you all to give a parting words in terms of two aspects. You could choose which one. What is future going to be like for the experiential marketing? You've touched upon this. Especially there is this angle of B2B experiences and B2C experiences, right? The experiences which a B2B company used to try and create as opposed to B2C was very different. How do you see these changing in the future world order? Do you see it changing? Don't see it changing? If you could touch upon these aspects and then we can close. Alphabetical order, we'll go with Roshan first.
Again, I thought, okay, I'll maybe get, no, I'll tell you one thing. Last year when Amazon Prime Day happened, we created a VR experience because we wanted to show people that, oh, Amazon Prime is not a mall, but it's yet a mall. And we did that experience. And we guerrilla marketed and went to a few malls who didn't realize what we were doing because we were actually on their real estate selling virtual real estate. It was a kick. We did something really fun. It worked. But today I'm looking and saying that's become the reality of what we do. So again, I feel this is, and I know the most bastardized word, and pardon my language, is phygital. But if you don't fidget enough, you will be neither digital nor physical.
Yeah.
Please. Fidgetal is also about fidgeting. I mean, make sure that you're doing enough. So the F and F that Dalveer talked of, I would say, be fast and fidget, do something, don't just sit there. It's just critical. And again, guys, the event industry is the most, I've always said, I had friends in news who used to say, we work 24/7. I said, bullshit. We work 24/7 because your news cycle lasts only 48 hours. We're on to our next event and moving. And we will continue to do that. When Vipul, Dalveer, Darshan, all of us actually put our heads together along with 100 others and say, okay, what more can we do? How can we go and win that client? How can we create a digital playbook? How can we build span of attention and prove to the person that they were attentive for this point to this point? I mean, it's so simple when you look at a video on YouTube, right? 1 minute, 2 minutes. Today I'm doing podcasting. I can tell you, I check and see what's my drop off rate, and that decides what my next episode length is going to be. So just jump in. There is the tools that for us were learned by paying tons of money to universities and courses are all available for free online.
Yeah.
But if you don't take out that time to really learn, then genuinely you are doing yourself a disservice. Innovate or incubate. Do one of the two.
Yeah. Dalveer, your parting words?
I think it's really, the future is about ideas and being fast and being very, very client-centric. We are here because of our clients and understanding the consumer well, and that's what we'll have to do. The faster we understand the new home-centric consumer, again, I'm repeating, home is going to be the center for everything, for most experiences, at least till this during COVID time. Post-COVID, we will see.
Okay.
But during the COVID time, how do I get my experiences to the home of my consumer and make it very client-centric? And that's what will help us all win together.
Okay. Darshan?
Well, the industry has actually been the most resourceful industry, right? We've always thrived on being resourceful. We've always faced situations that we really had to adapt continuously. We've all had events where you suddenly had fires, you had to put out, you had to innovate, some artist didn't turn up or some vendor didn't turn up. So we've lived through this many times over, right? So I think this industry will survive and we will find our way out and we will find innovative ways to cope with it. I think the key for everybody is to have the right mindset. We can look at it and look at either all the doom and gloom, or we could actually look at it as an opportunity to reinvent ourselves and become more efficient.
Yeah. Vipul, last words from you.
I think new, fresh ideas and very, very fast kind of implementation of those ideas is something which is going to be the future.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. It was a pleasure chatting up with you, and thanks a lot on behalf of Ad Club. I will now just hand it over to Naveen Nair, who is a independent PR consultant and a very integral part of at Club Bangalore. Naveen, over to you for the closing remarks and vote of thanks.
Thanks, Dalveer. Thanks, Vipul. Thanks, Darshan. Uh, Thanks all committee members. It's been a exciting introduction about the industry. We got to learn a lot of new things. And thanks audience for tuning in, and hopefully you learn something new. And also thanks to our media partners, Media News for You and Advil. Thanks guys. Looking forward to interacting with all of you.
Thank you, Radhika. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Roshan.
everybody.
I think
Thanks,
Stay
guys.
safe.
Yeah. Bye. Bye all.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks.
Thank you, Roshan. Thank you, Dalveer. Thank you, Vipul.
Yes.
Darshan.
Thank you all. Pleasure meeting all of you.
Great stuff, guys. Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.